Kantara is a South Indian movie which tells the story of a man named Shiva, the story of human and nature conflict, where spirituality, fate, and folklore rule the land. But if you look closer, you can see the movie as a clear representation of Carl Jung's concept of individuation process, man becoming divine by taking the journey completely and responsible for his own existence, and knowing that man does not only depend on God, but that God also depends on man. Before coming to the story, you must have some knowledge about tutelary deities or Kula devas. In India, especially in South India, every clan had a deity whom they worship, and the deity watched over his or her children of the clan. A deity can be represented in human form, animal form, or even an object or stone. The consecration of deity is done in such a way that the deity is even genetically connected to the clan members, and if one of the clan members perform a ritual, the whole clan gets the benefits. In the movie, we can see that the clan of Shiva had their deities consecrated in the form of stone and is also worshipped in the form of panjurli daiva or varaha moorty, and another deity or their protector named Kuliga, who is the protector of the clan. And on special occasions, the deity enters one designated clan member for solving the clan's problem, who perform an act called Kula, and in the movie that person happens to be Shiva's father. But in one such occasion, few dispute occurs between the clan's interest and the local rulers, and that time the Kula performer, aka Shiva's father, disappears in thin air while performing the act, and young Shiva, witnessing the whole incident, chooses not to follow the path of his father and refuses to perform Kula. According to Jungian concept of shadow, everything about you that you are rejected or oppressed, whose ultimate ramifications even reach back into the realm of animal ancestors. And in the case of Shiva, the loss of his father and the sadness made him to suppress that is which is life's purpose, which is to become the Kula, which is his true responsibility. So as the story proceeds, we see that Shiva doing things which is against his true purpose by creating a conscious self or sense of ego, by indulging in intoxications and violence, which is exact opposite of a life what a Kula successor should live. Now, how can we find our shadows? By paying attention and building awareness in our resentments, fear, desires, vision, dreams, and by active imagination of all these. In the movie, we can see that Shiva having these projection of his shadows in the form of nightmares, dreams, and vision. But still the shadow remains depressed because his conscious self or ego is stronger and he doesn't want to end up like his father, disappear to the unknown or incomprehensible realm. But at the point where he'll start losing his valuable things, his ego or the sense of self slowly starts to lose power over himself. He loses his brother. He loses his trust over the local ruler, who was also a father figure whom he respected and trusted, who was at the whole time cheating him. And thus we see Shiva starting to face his fear and getting the revelation of his shadows, his unconsciousness. Thus individuation process begins inside Shiva. What was in his darkness, his shadows, slowly starts to assimilate in him. And towards the end of the movie, maybe the most brilliantly choreographed scene, where in the fight, Shiva is defeated with severe physical injuries, and while lying there, his conscious self or ego loses the full resistance it had on his shadows. But this time, his experience goes beyond an experience of personal way into supra-personal and assimilate, which is called the collective unconscious, which is connected to each other and all his ancestors, thus becoming Kuliga himself, the protector of his deity, whose sole purpose is the protection of his Kula deva and Kula. Now before we end, should I speak about my take on the climax scene? So guys, don't forget to subscribe. So as I told in the beginning, when you become whole, responsible for your whole existence, and knowing that man does not only depends on God, but that God also depends on man, he successfully dissolved in the absolute union of material external facts with the internal psychic facts. If you consider a being in that spiritual stage, the next and perhaps the last stage of him is the dimension beyond physical perception. In yogic lore, the transition of activation from Ajna Chakra to Sahasrara, thus unite with his father who attained the moksha or nirvana himself, and together completed his life's purpose, and his successor is also born, left with no bondage of karma. He didn't leave, but he is not just bound to the physical bounding anymore. He becomes part of the legacy, the big game.